It was only 2 words, conspiracy and theory. But say them or use them in the wrong context, and watch their eyes begin to roll. Look for the sideways glances or those avoiding eye contact altogether. Listen for the uncomfortable laughs or the condescending smirks of those amused at your alleged delusions. The reaction is similar to that which you would receive should you admit to a serious belief in magical powers. But why? Well, it's because today, despite the actual definition, social use of the term conspiracy theory doesn't just mean a theory about a conspiracy. Today, the average person assumes it to mean a generalized case of crazy, paranoid, delusional, and baseless beliefs. But what if I told you that's not what it has always meant? What if I told you that this specific phrase was manipulated, redefined, and weaponized, but not for the purposes of advancing society's collective knowledge or uncovering truths, but to bury them? This is the conspiracy theory of all conspiracy theories. Welcome to Wild Facts. The term conspiracy theory has not been around for a very long time. Its first use case was in 1863. It simply referred to a hypothesis that 2 or more people are secretly working together for a specific outcome. No allusions to crazy states of mind or a lack of credibility. And throughout history, conspiracy theories had a tendency of turning out to be true. Watergate, 1972. The claim? The president has men spying on their political enemies. Was it a conspiracy theory? Yes. But was it true? Yes. MK Ultra, 1950s to the 1970s. The claim? The CIA is experimenting on unwitting American citizens with mind-control drugs like acid or mushrooms. Was it a wild claim? Sure. But it was also real. COINTELPRO, 1956 to 1971. The claim? The FBI is secretly sabotaging civil rights activists. Does it sound paranoid? Or does it even matter, since it's 100% factual? The Gulf of Tonkin incident, August of 1964. The claim? As a false flag pretense to enter the Vietnam War, our representatives at the U.S. Capitol lied, telling us that foreign enemies fired upon 2 American ships in the Gulf of Tonkin, sending them to the depths of the ocean floor. Sound familiar? That's because, like the 9/11 Truth Movement and the previous examples I just mentioned, this is another conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. But today, when somebody calls something a conspiracy theory, they don't mean that's a hypothesis about a secret plan by a group of people. What they actually mean is that's nonsense. So, how did this shift happen? Some theorized that this was an intentional plan by the CIA to use the media to cultivate this shift.
We must speak the truth about terror. Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty.
If only there was a declassified CIA document confirming this belief.
Wait a minute. That document actually exists?
It sure does. The year was 1967. President JFK had been assassinated just a few years earlier, and Americans weren't buying the official story. The Warren Commission said a lone gunman named Lee Harvey Oswald was responsible. But millions of people had doubts, and that's when the CIA got involved. A secret memo, document 1035-960, was sent to intelligence officers around the world. It provided talking points on how to discredit people questioning the official narrative. The tactic? Label them conspiracy theorists, smear their character, and sabotage their credibility. There was even a specific section that dealt with how to accomplish this smear campaign for so-called knowledgeable critics. And just like that, the phrase conspiracy theory started shifting. It wasn't just a theory about a conspiracy anymore. It was a red flag for nonsense.
Breaking news.
And the media ran with it. By the 1990s and 2000s, the term conspiracy theory was everywhere. The X-Files made it cool. The internet made it easy to spread. But the media? They made it a joke. Even when real conspiracies were exposed, the label stuck. 9/11 skepticism? Conspiracy theory. Questions about government surveillance? Again, conspiracy theory. The prolific, above-average density of pedophiles among the rich and powerful? Conspiracy theory. That is, until they weren't. The phrase became a thought-stopping mechanism, causing people to dismiss claims outright instead of investigating them. The mere accusation of being a conspiracy theorist was enough to end a conversation, which raises the question, who benefits from all of this?
Away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty.
In today's world, conspiracy theory is more than just a pejorative. It is a weapon. Big tech platforms flag, downgrade, or remove content that they decide is misinformation. But here's the thing. Many of the banned conspiracy theories of yesterday became proven facts. Prolific international pedophile ring among the wealthiest and most powerful people on the planet? First, a conspiracy theory. Now, most realize Epstein was silenced. Government-sponsored mass criminal surveillance? First, a conspiracy theory. Then, Edward Snowden did the most heroically patriotic thing an American can do and leaked the proof. He was deemed a traitor. Social media manipulation and mass psychological profiling. First, a conspiracy theory. Then, Cambridge Analytica happened. The truth is, not all conspiracy theories are false, and not all official narratives are true. But the system doesn't cater to critical thinkers. It needs compliant consumers. So the next time someone calls something a conspiracy theory, ask yourself, are they dismissing it because it's false, or because their insecurities prevent them from looking deeper? The takeaway? At the end of the day, Conspiracy theory is just a label. It doesn't mean true or false. It just means someone, somewhere, is asking dangerous questions. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what the ruling class doesn't want you to do. Now is when we fill in all the blanks and we determine what we can actually conclude about this topic. The first use of the term conspiracy theory was in 1863. Also, its academic definition and its meaning in social use cases didn't experience any deviation until 1964. The deviation in definition that was experienced between the two cases is the fact that in social use cases, it started to become an implied pejorative. In other words, 1964 marked the beginning of people using the term conspiracy theory to imply that your theory lacks credibility or is baseless. It also just so happens that 1964 marks the first social use case for the term conspiracy theorist, and its first use was as a pejorative in reference to the JFK assassination in a media headline. The only other recorded use case for the term conspiracy theorist, which predates the one I mentioned here, is a single case not used in the social domain. It is found in a journal storage archive called JSTOR, which is short for journal storage. This just means that somebody published the term conspiracy theorist in an academic paper that was part of one of the 2,000 academic journals that JSTOR archives. It is also true that September of 2001 marked the beginning of a spike in use cases of conspiracy theory as a pejorative. September of 2001 also marks the second time in which social use meaning deviated from the academic definition. The deviation that occurred was the exclusion of the concept of group planning from its social use context. This was done in favor of using the term as a generalized case for any assertions that the speaker deemed paranoid or baseless. And now, under the current atmosphere, the term conspiracy theory and all its cousins are almost unanimously assumed to imply paranoia and a lack of credibility. But what can we actually conclude? Well, in reality, all we can conclude is the bounds within which your hypothesis must lie. That is, if you were to construct a hypothesis and continue this scientific investigation. There is definitely a correlative relationship between its use case dynamics and its portrayal by the media and the government during major events. We can even demonstrate a causal relationship between social use case dynamics and how the government and media portrays the term during major events.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty, away from the guilty.
What we cannot demonstrate is intent. And without intent, you have no foreknowledge and you have no conspiracy. But if your hypothesis did happen to be that there was intentional manipulation by the government and its assets, it wouldn't be without merit.